Hello, Keith Rucker here at VintageMachinery.org. Guys, today we're back to working on the Tally-Ho Capstan project and got an interesting little job we need to do today. So what I've got here in front of me, this is the base that the capstan mounts on. The drum or the winch part actually is going to mount and revolve on a shaft that goes into this tapered socket here that goes up through it. So this is basically what will be bolted down to the deck and what everything is kind of mounted to. Now, in the process of mechanizing this winch, from taking it from an old manually hand cranked winch to actually powering it with a motor, which we have a plan to do, that's been done by Webster's Deep Blue Engineering out in the UK. We've got to make some modifications to this. We've already started on that with the actual winch drum, where we made an area in the bottom to put a ring gear into that will be driving it, as well as replacing, making a sliding out area for the new Gypsy to go into. The chain will wrap around. With that gear that's going to power it, we need a place for a motor to be mounted up underneath this and for a shaft to come through and another gear to mesh with the gear that's going to be in the drum. And that's what we're going to be working on today, is actually making an access hole through this casting that we can actually mount all that into. So again, this is the base plate. I've actually got it upside down. This piece here will be extruding down through the bottom of through the deck of the boat, basically. So the way it is right now is upside down, but we're going to need to drill or bore a big hole through here, as well as drill some holes that we'll be mounting a plate to that's going to mount on the bottom of this, that this whole gear mechanism will mount to. So that's going to be the project today. We're going to be doing this mostly over on the milling machine, doing some boring, as well as doing a hole layout, a bolt hole pattern. We'll be doing all that over on the milling machine. So let me kind of show you what the project is, and then we're going to go over here and get this thing set up and start the job. So again, you're looking at the base plate that all this is going to mount to. And again, we're looking at the underside of this. This is the view from the bottom. But this is going to be the side that we're going to be working on, again, because this whole tapered socket here is going to be in the way to work from the other side. Not a problem at all. It's actually going to be easier to work from this side anyway. Now, I've got a blueprint here that was put together by David Webster, who's kind of the engineer that designed all this work, this retrofitting work. And he's shows the hole that's going to be bored kind of right in this area, as well as the bolt hole circle that needs to go on there. And there's going to be a plate again that just kind of bolts right down onto this, that the whole motor and shaft that comes up through there is going to mount to. So today's job is to get this hole bored out and again get this hole pattern put in here to be tapped and drilled and so forth. So we're going to be, again, going over to the milling machine and setting all this up. I've got my dimensions. He's got both in metric as well as in inches here. I'm going to be working in inches just because that's what I'm set up to do in my shop. Not going to say I can't work in metric, but it's a lot easier for me to work in inches because, again, that's what most of my measuring tools are set up for inches and so forth. I do have some metric stuff around here, but I honestly don't ever use it, and I feel kind of uncomfortable using it because, again, it's not my native language. It's not what I normally speak in, and I'm much more comfortable working in inches. So he's got those measurements for me in inches, and that's what we're going to be working in here. All right, let's go over to the milling machine and see if we can get this thing set up. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge because of the size. We're going to have to make a little fixture to mount this thing to because it's a little bit bigger than the table on the milling machine, but I think we can make it work. So let's go get it done. So my first step here is to get this casting set up over here on the milling machine. I've got it sitting down on, again, upside down on the base. We got a nice flat surface to mount it to there, and I think we're just going to clamp it down to the table. Now, because it's only really touching right here in the center hub on the bottom, what I've got is some little machinist jacks around the perimeter of this. I've got 4 of these, and I'm going to just kind of bring each one of these up until it's just touching the casting, and then we'll clamp down, and that should give us some support out here, a little additional support. So that's kind of my game plan. So I'm going to go ahead and get all these adjusted out, and we'll get some clamps in here and clamp this down. These little machinist jacks are just little screw jacks, so you can adjust them up to whatever height you need, and they're really helpful for giving you some support out on edges like this where you just need to make it fit, basically. All right, so with that, we're going to go ahead and put some clamps on here. I got some hold downs, T-slots here, T-nuts with a stud on it. So we'll just come in here and kind of put these in place. Just going to kind of snug them up right now. All right, we'll go ahead and tighten these down. I'm just going to snug them a little bit at a time. All right, we should be all clamped into place. That should be rigidly mounted to the table. And I think we can go ahead and start getting set up where we want to bore our hole. Well, I can tell right off the bat I'm going to have to make some adjustments to my milling machine to be able to do this job. So because this casting is so large and I really can't bring it back all the way to the column here without bumping into it, and I'm going to be working up here on the front part, the spindle needs to actually come forward to be able to get up here. Fortunately, we got adjustments in this milling machine. Right now I've got the spindle, about the middle of the saddle here, but I need to move it forward here so that we can actually work kind of over in this area. I mean, I've got probably 2 inches more that I could come out, but I'm not going to have quite enough room. I want to give myself some wiggle room. So we're going to loosen up the dovetail up here on the top. There's some bolts that hold this in place. We're going to loosen all these up, and we're just going to move the whole spindle forward a little bit. Let me get on the other side here. So this whole ram is in a dovetailed slot that will allow it to move back and forth, and there's a little rack and pinion gear in here, and whenever I do move this forward, you can see we're just going to move the whole head forward. So I'm going to kind of get it just kind of eyeballed where I'm over the center here, where I got plenty of room to work, and I think that that will give me plenty of room right there, and we're going to go ahead and tighten everything back down. There's all kinds of adjustments in this milling machine. I can move the turret ram forward and backwards. I can rotate the whole head on the column here. This column, the head here will rotate in this direction, and it'll also nod backwards and forwards. So you can really position this mill to do whatever kind of angles you want to. Right now we have it trimmed where it's going straight up and down, but lots of options on how you can set this machine up. All right, we are good there. Now what I want to do is come in here and actually locate the center of this part so that we can use that as our zero measurement to measure off of to figure out where we need to bore the hole. So now what I want to do is get my spindle set up on the center of this hub that we're going to be measuring off of. So our measurements are all off of the center of this. And to do this, I've got what's called a coaxial indicator. Now the way this works is I've got this set up where it's sweeping this circle, and I can read on here the variation there is on how far alpha centered is. And basically what you want this to do when it's set up perfectly, you'll just adjust your table in and out until the needle is basically not moving. Now I will note that this surface inside of this bore, there's a couple of rough spots in here, so I'm not going to be able to get it absolutely perfect, but we're going to be able to get it pretty darn good, I hope. So when I turn my spindle on, you can see the needle moving around. You kind of see that one place there where it just kind of jerks over. That's where there's a rough spot in the casting. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to move my axes here, and when I do, you notice my range is getting wider. Now I'm going to move it in a little bit more, move it the other direction, and it's just a matter of going back and forth here between your X and Y axis until you get it and it's running pretty good. And right there, we've got very little except for that one little place where it hits the rust spot. So I'm kind of ignoring that. We're going to get this as close as we can. Like I went a little bit too far. I know it's hard to tell looking at that, but again, you just got to trust me. There's a lot of roughness in this bore, but I have played around with this and I have minimized my run out right here. I feel pretty good. That's for on center. I'm gonna probably try to verify this using another method here in just a minute, but I feel pretty good about that. So we're gonna probably go with that. Let me see if I can verify, but I'm pretty good. I think we're good right there. I got looking and I noticed the outside of this has been machined, and I can only assume that that's been set up on the same setup as the inside. So I moved my indicator out here to the outside, and I'm going to work on getting this done because that's a little bit smoother, and I'm going to go back and check the center bore. So I've actually already done this, and that's about as good as I can get it right there. And again, this surface is not perfectly smooth, but that's really, really close. So I'm pretty happy with that. What I want to do now is actually take it and put it back on the inside bore. And let's double check it in there. I'm going to take that stylus out and we'll put the one for the inside in here. And you just kind of set this swing on this where it will touch on the inside. So I've been playing around on this inside bore, and I mean, I've got it running pretty good. This inside bore, like I have said before, is really kind of rough. Particularly on this front side. In fact, when you watch that come around the front, it's just going to go way out, and then it kind of comes back up in the top up there. This is still set up on that 0-0 from that outside measurement, and I really feel like it's pretty much the same on either one. We're going to go with that outside measurement just because we got a smoother surface to indicate on, and I'm just a little bit more comfortable with that. So we're within a thou or two of being dead nuts on center. So and looking at the tolerances that we're dealing with, I think we're close enough. So we're just kind of got to go with it. So from here, like I said, we're going to call this 0-0, and now I can start measuring out over to the coordinates where I need to drill and bore this hole that's going to go all the way through it. So let's go ahead and do that. So according to our blueprints, I need to move this over 2.97 inches, which comes out to 75.45 millimeters. Again, I'm just going to work in inches up here because that's what I'm used to working with. So I'm going to loosen up my table. We're going to just dial in on the digital readout 2.97. That's pretty much it right there. 2.970. I got my table locked down and we're kind of over that area. Now I need to move the table in 3.135. So again, we'll just dial that in right up here. I'm going to unlock my table. We'll go in 1, 2, 3.135, which is right there. 135. All right. 3.135, 3.135, 2.970, 2.970. Spent a couple of minutes just kind of double checking my measurements. So I'm at 2.970, and what I did is I just kind of came in here and kind of eyeballed where I think the center of that is, and it matches up pretty darn close to this. And I did the same thing on my other measurement. I got an X on there. It kind of marks that spot just roughly. And again, when I pull my drill down here, I'm really just right over it. So I feel like we're in just the dead place we need to be. I'm also kind of eyeballing down this at a 45-degree angle, coming off of that, using some holes that are already in this. And again, it's lining up visually, you know, not a precision measurement, but your eyes better than most people give it credit for. So I feel like we're pretty good. I've got a spotting drill in here, and we're going to go ahead and spot that center. And we're going to go ahead and start drilling this out. That hole is going to be bored out to 2.994 inches, which comes out to 76.05 millimeters. Just a little bit over 76 millimeters, about 0.05 millimeters over. So let's just go ahead and spot this. That should be good to get a drill bit started. So let me get a drill bit and we'll drill all the way through. And I'll probably just drill this out as big as I can with a drill bit. And then we'll get the boring head on here and we'll bore the rest of it out. So let me go get some drills and we'll get that knocked out. All right, here we go. Go ahead and speed that up a little bit. We'll start with a 3/8 inch drill bit. And we'll drill that through. Going to a 1/2 inch drill bit. One-inch drill bit. Slow that down a little bit. I said 1 inch on the last one. That one was 3/4. This one is 1 inch. And I think from here, I don't have a drill bit that will fit this mill. I got drill bits bigger, but not one that'll fit on this mill. So we're going to switch over to the boring head and start boring that out. We got a boring head on here, and I think we're ready to go. We're going to try this out anyway. Let's get our head going. I'm going to bring this down kind of close to the bottom here, and I'm just going to engage my feed, and that should start boring that out. I've just got a real light cut going right now. I just want to kind of establish a cut in there. All right, we are all the way down through that hole. I'm going to come back up. We will stop. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to feed in about 50 thousandths more depth there. Whoops, wrong way. Here we go. Make sure these gibs are tight. And I'm going to go to 6 thousandths per revolution. All right, let's feed down there and see how that works. All right, made another pass there. Let's make another. All right, I'm making pretty light passes there, so I think what I'm going to do is increase my cut to a full revolution here. See, I went too far there. Go to the 0. There we go. All right. making a nice cut all the way down there. I like that. We'll come back up, make another cut. Let's just rinse and repeat, guys. We got a ways to go here. Come back around to 0 there. Kind of give you guys a little bit closer up look here. We're making a 100 thousandths off the diameter, so basically 50 thousandths on each side. And that boring bar just cuts right down through there. There we go. Making progress here, just measuring this with the calipers. We're about 2 inches, 535 thousandths, again going to 2.994. So we've got not quite 50 thousandths more to come out. Everything appears to be going pretty good. Now, somebody's going to comment, hey, you're off center here. You got more over here than you do over here. According to the blueprints, that's exactly where it needs to be. I'm not exactly sure why he has it placed like that, but I can look at the drawings and it is offset a little bit to the front up here. And it looks like we're right where it is on the blueprint, so I'm not too worried about that. It's been going pretty good. The only issue that I've really had, it hadn't really been an issue, but just something to note, is there's appears to be a little inclusion in the casting right up in this area. You can see a little dark spot in there, and it is a little bit rough as it's going around. Makes a little noise, but it seems like it's boring out fine, so I'm not going to worry about it. Just looks like you got a little hard inclusion in that casting right there. No big deal. So anyway, we're going to continue on. I'm going to dial in another 100 thousandths here on the cut. I did move my cutter from the center section over to the outside section just so so I'm not cantilevering this thing out too far. But it's making progress. We'll go ahead and engage it, let it come down. We're starting to get an irregular cut here on the front because we're getting into this little boss in the back, and we are going to mill into that a little bit, but no big deal. We'll bore into it, so let's let her roll and keep on cutting down through here. There we go, starting to make contact. And you can hear it when it comes right over here, just a little tick. That's where it's hitting that little hard spot in that little inclusion in the casting. But it's cutting through it, and carbide's cutting it fine. It's just a little hard place there. Well, as we get down here closer to size, I'm going to a bore micrometer to actually start measuring this bore, get a little bit more accurate measurement. And right now we are measuring right at, what is this, we're at 2.897 is where we're at right now, 2.897. We've got not quite 100 thousandths to come out of there still. I think I'm going to do another 50 thousandths cut, and then we will probably go to a 25 and just sneak up on that final number. So let me go ahead and just dial in another 50, and we'll make another pass. All right, we're going to come up out of there, and we'll get another measurement, see where we're at. 45, 46, 47, 247 and a half is where we're at right now, 2.47 and a half. We'll do another 25 now. So that's 10, 25 right there. All right, make another pass. So instead of going 6 thousandths per revolution on my depth, I'm going 3 thousandths per revolution on my depth, my feed rate here. Again, just trying to go for a little bit better finish as we get to the finish line. All right, here we go. Coming down there. 75 right there. So we're at 2.977. All right, I've fished around in here, and we're measuring point, or 2.977, maybe about a tenth or two there. We're going to 2.994. I've got a plus 2 thousandths minus 0 thousandths tolerance on this, so I've got basically 17 thousandths to cut out of here. I think I'm going to do is do a 10 thousandths cut. Again, I'm just sneaking up on this. My experience with these boring bars is you want to make your last couple of passes just barely fuzzing anything off. So we're going to dial in 10 thou. That's 5, 10 right there. And I'm going to make another pass, and we'll measure it again. And like I said, we're just going to sneak up on that final measurement. All right, so we're measuring here 2 inches, and we're past the 75 mark. We got 10, so that's going to be 85, 86, 87, almost at 2.888. So I'm going to call it 2.888. We're going to 2.994. We're going to 0.2 or 2.994. So I've got just a fuzz over 6 thousandths to come out of this. And I've got a little bit of I can go about 2 thousandths over, and I'm going to just dial in 7 thousandths is what we're going to dial in, and this is going to be our final pass. So let me just dial this in very carefully. 5, 6, right there. This should be our final pass, so let's go ahead and let her rip. We're just fuzzing off about 6 or 7 thou here. All right, we are through. And we'll just pull that up, and let's get one more measurement. 85, 91, 2, 3, 94. All right, we were right there at 95. So we're right on the tolerance. Like I said, we had a plus or minus 2, or plus 2 thousandths minus 0 thousandths. We're measuring about 95 and a half. So we're about a half thousandth under the top end of that tolerance, and that's going to be perfect. So I'm very happy with that. Just a little bit oversized. This gives us a little bit of clearance for coming in there, but not over the tolerance. This borehole is done. All right. All right, we're looking at the blueprint, and I just kind of verifying where we're at here. This is the hole that we just bored right here. And you can tell that on the right side, we're just right, almost tangent with the top of the casting as it comes over here. On the left side, we're into it. You know, this would have been that line right there. We're not quite to the outside of the fillet, so we're just about 2/3 of the way to the bottom of the fillet. And then up here in the top, you can see we cut into it a little bit. And looking at what we got, looking at the actual hole, again, we're tangent on this side. We're not quite to the bottom outside the fillet down here on this side, and we're into the top up here. I feel very confident that we nailed this, so I think we're right where we need to be, matching up with what's on the blueprint at the very least. Well, guys, I think we're going to take a break here in this video. We've got the whole board through the part. We still got to put a bolt hole pattern in here, and we're going to be doing that following up in an upcoming video here and kind of continuing on and getting this part knocked out. So with that, guys, that is going to be a wrap for today. As always, thanks so much for watching. Please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Those thumbs up and comments are always greatly appreciated. Please hit that bell icon up there to get notification when new videos are posted to the site. And as always, a big, huge thank you to the subscribers as well as the supporters who support the site financially through Patreon, PayPal, etc. We could not do everything we do without your help. And with that, guys, we're going to sign off. We'll catch you next time and finish this project up. Thanks for watching.